is Tim Lovatt, and I am the Head of Digital Learning for K-12 for Dover campus. So specifically AI, me personally, I use it for coaching me. I get it to ask me questions and prompt my thinking. So I get it to not tell me any answers, but I get it to make me think about my own answers to questions. I use it for creating resources for lessons. I use it for creating resources for differentiated lessons. So make one set of questions a little bit more difficult, one set of questions a little bit more easier. Maybe creating scaffolds to help students who it's the first time seeing this topic, versus making more challenging things for students who have seen this topic in a previous school or that sort of thing. And I use it a lot for image generation for things like presentations and stuff, so you can get exactly the right image that you want and not have to worry about copyright and, you know, making sure that you have the right licenses for using it and having to only get the free items on Shutterstock or whatever. You can, as long as you cite the AI, then you can use it for pretty much anything. If you go to an education conference at the moment, everything is about AI, and that's not just education. If you go to any conference in any industry at the moment, it's AI is everywhere. What remains to be seen is impact as a result of implementation of AI. There are lots of things that we are doing here at school, like we are looking at AI generated feedback to give students more opportunities to engage with feedback and more opportunities to refine the work that they're doing and build their skills that teachers simply wouldn't have capacity to do. What we don't have yet is numerical results that tell us that it gets people better IB grades. What we do have is anecdotal reports that students say it's great getting all this feedback, or teachers say my students are doing so much better at this skill now, but that is yet to be formally proven as an effective thing, mostly because it just hasn't been around for long enough. You know, we haven't had a kid yet who was using generative AI in grade 9, 10, 11 and 12 and then did their IB and then got the result yet. That just hasn't happened. There hasn't been enough time. So time will tell, and we will evolve our approaches based on that data that we get, but we don't have any formal data yet. Using AI is damaging when you're trying to learn something, which happens quite a lot in schools. So it is very easy to use AI as a shortcut to learning, but there is a difference between information and knowledge. And information is stuff that you can read. It's stuff that you can get out of ChatGPT. It's stuff that you could feasibly hand in as your essay. But actually deeply knowing something is having a mental model of something and being able to challenge it and explain totally different scenarios with that same piece of knowledge because you're applying it in a different context. And if you try and get AI to do that for you, you might be able to do it temporarily, but you're not having that knowledge. So whenever you're trying to learn something, AI is not a useful tool, which is why when I'm trying to do my job, I try and get it to ask me questions instead of answering my questions, because then it helps me develop my thought processes rather than it just telling me the answer that it thinks. And the answer that it thinks, because this is how they work, the answer that it thinks is the average answer. So everything kind of gets bland. Like you see it, and you can see it straight away when a student has submitted a piece of work that they have written with AI and not made any changes and not amended it at all. It's kind of boring. It's written in the same style. It's kind of bland, you know. It doesn't have any really contextual personal information. It doesn't have any sort of local, maybe Singaporean context, or it doesn't really tell you that much about the student or what they're thinking about this topic. It just tells you what the average person thinks in an average way about the average representation of that topic. So all of that to say, you need to do a lot of deep thinking in order to be able to use AI effectively. And it shouldn't replace that deep thinking, but it should prompt and provoke that deep thinking. So there's a real balance there, and it's really difficult for students in a very high-performing, very fast-moving school like this. It's really difficult for students to not just use it as a shortcut, because it's a great shortcut. It seems like a brilliant idea at the time, but actually what it's doing is it's depriving you of an opportunity of learning. And that's the biggest challenge that we're facing at the moment. Because of the nature of AI, it's a language model, right? The potential for it helping in subjects like languages is currently greater than the potential of it helping in subjects like physics, for example. However, it's getting much more capable very, very quickly, and that won't be the case for very much longer. I encourage all teachers to be aware of what it can do, to understand the utility of it, so they can support students in choosing when to and when to not use it. I don't think that ignoring it and not acknowledging it in classes is an option anymore, because it's everywhere. But equally, I'm not an expert in teaching economics. I don't know what it should and should not be used for in an economics classroom. And so I wouldn't tell the teacher what they should and should not do. That is their area of expertise. However, I would say that they should have an awareness of what it should or should not be used for in their subject. And so by building opportunities for staff to experience and experiment and play with it and use it for various different things, we hope to build a sort of base level of understanding in everyone, where people have the expertise, experience, and confidence to then say, I know when this is a useful tool in my subject and when it is not.